Hi guys, and welcome back to another podcast.
What we're talking about today, Stuart?
My favourite subject, money. Well, I'm saying it's my favourite subject. It has its moments, doesn't it, money?
I think we should rephrase this, to be fair. Money's not your favourite subject. Spending is your favourite subject.
All right, okay, I'll get away with that one. So, yes, so we are going to talk about how much it actually costs to live in a motorhome or a convert or anything like that, because I think they're pretty much similar as in budgeting.
Yeah, so it's not as cheap as people might think.
I think it's got some its up points. You have some areas where it's like you save money, but then you have other expenses that you wouldn't necessarily have living in a house, bricks and mortar and all that jazz, that you actually do have extra in a motorhome.
But we do find it cheaper than living in a house.
We do, because of where we originally are from.
Yeah.
House prices were just silly. But I think they're silly everywhere now, aren't they? I think they're just increasing in prices of rent and mortgages.
And living in a van is becoming more and more popular.
So I think what we're going to do is we will have a look at what we actually spend on a monthly basis, so that you can work out, if you are thinking about coming into a motorhome or a convert or any sort of vehicle, you can get a gist of how much it actually costs to live in a motorhome, and maybe the costs that you didn't really expect or know about, so that you can put them in your budgeting for comparing prices, I guess. So I think the main thing that we have to start off with is your vehicle. Your vehicle is going to be your biggest spend.
So you're talking finance, if somebody's got a loan or paying for it monthly.
Well, it's going to be anything, isn't it? It's whether it's you've got to find the cash to be able to actually buy one outright, or whether you go for a loan for one. It's always going to be your first biggest initial spend, because you have to have that money there, or you have to apply for loans or whatever to be able to actually buy the motorhome.
Yeah, of course.
That was our biggest spend.
And they're not cheap.
They're not, are they? No. Let's be honest.
No, they're not cheap.
We were quite lucky. We got an older van at a very, very good price. We say a very good price. We knew that she was going to need some work doing to her, so we knew that we would have to sort of have a bit of finances sat there for repairs and actually dragging her into the 21st century. And she's done it well.
Yeah, and that's a good point, isn't it? If you're buying an older van, you need not only your living expenses and the cost of paying for your van, but you're also going to need some kind of pot just in case things go wrong. Yes,
that is probably the biggest thing. But our first thing, let's get into it, is going to be the insurance.
I see it on a daily basis on the Facebook groups. The cost of insurance is going up and up, and people are struggling because some people's insurance have doubled. It's worth looking around.
It is very much worth looking around. We kind of struggled a bit because we live in it. We purposely tried to hunt for a 12-month insurance, didn't we?
Yeah, we found it incredibly difficult because of the age of the vehicle, because we don't have a home address, because we live in it 12 months, because most insurance will only cover you for 9 months of the year.
So our insurance costs us about £55, doesn't it? This is a month.
I know that's going to go up.
Yes. I think everybody's insurance has gone up.
I know that's going to go. It went up a chunk last year, to be fair.
It did. Something else as well as our insurance. We do actually have breakdown cover included during our insurance, but we do actually pay for a separate one as well, don't we?
The one that's included with the insurance is quite basic, and I did notice that if you call them out to change a tyre or a wheel, they'll charge you for it.
Yeah.
So it's pretty basic. So it's kind of there as a backup, I guess.
But we have AA, don't we?
You've got to be careful with the AA, because they'll only cover you if you're under 3.5 tonnes and you're a certain width.
So we're quite lucky that we just
fit
into that. So
we kind of just fit in. We've had no trouble with the AA.
We haven't. That costs us £10 a month. So the next thing to do with the actual vehicle will be the tax.
Yeah, as I understand it, it's £345 for the year.
It is.
You can pay it monthly, so you'll pay a little bit more on top. So if you budget for around £30 a month for a motorhome that's over 1.5 tonnes.
Another thing that you do have to factor in, that yes, it only happens once a year, but it is something you do have to think about, is your MOT.
The MOT is going to cost you between £40 and £60. I'd budget for £50 for the year. But it's the work that you're going to need, and we just touched on that, saying you need some kind of backup or contingency We spent a lot of money after the MOT last year. Be mindful of how much maintenance you're going to have to do to get it through its MOT. And while we're talking about the actual vehicle, there's one thing that you won't think about, maybe, is the actual maintenance and upkeep, i.e. tyres, oil changes, air filters. Because you're on the road more, you're spending more money maintaining your vehicle, particularly tyres. We went through a whole set last year, didn't we?
Well, it's not just the tyres, it's also then you've got the alignment on top of it. It's slowly, we thought, we used to be able to get a tyre for 50, 60, 70 quid.
Yeah.
No, not in a motorhome. No. Then you had to have it aligned.
We had the wheels aligned twice last year.
We did.
At a cost of £60 a time. That's going to save you on tyres. It sounds like a lot of money. You think, well, I can get a tyre for that. Yeah, but if 2 front tyres are misaligned, then you're going to be spending, £200 or £300 every couple of months, depending on how many miles you do. So have a little pot of money for maintenance and upkeep of the vehicle with things like tyres.
Yeah, tyres, window wipers. We went through a set of window wipers. We've gone through a lot of oil, and it's just general things that you maybe not think of with a car because you don't use the car as much as you would in a motorhome or in your Convert, but because you're in it 24/7 and it's constantly moving and it's constantly doing things, it uses a lot more of these things that you don't really think.
Yeah. So what would you think, Stuart, on budgeting for that? £50 a month, maybe?
Say I've written down as a contingency fee. It's something that you might not have to use every month, but I wouldn't touch it just in case. If it does have to go in a garage and it has to be an overnight or it needs a couple of days of work, where do you stay? Because this is our home. It's your home. You're living in it. So you've got to have a backup plan of where you're going to stay, what you're going to do with the animals. Like, you've got to make sure you've thought of a backup plan of just in case.
Yeah. I'd put some money away. It's difficult to put a kind of figure on it per month. Whatever you can afford.
So they're things just to do with the actual vehicle. Then you have your ordinary things, such as your food, which is a kind of a sticky situation to actually budget for, isn't it, for us? Because it depends where we are, it depends what time of year it is, and it just depends what we want to eat.
Your food is going to be as much as you want to spend. I mean, it's the same as being at home, isn't it? If you've got a house and you live like that, then what do you do there? Because it's going to be pretty much similar. I wouldn't say it's the same because there are restraints and constrictions with living in a van. For example, we don't have a big freezer.
No,
so we can't. You can't fill up a freezer with lots of things and pull them out. So if you're relying on fresh things, you're going to be shopping more, and you're going to be buying fresh, which is notoriously more expensive.
It is. We do tend to buy a lot more fresh meats and things now, don't we? We never used to bother when we lived in a house, but now we live in a motorhome. It's kind of like, it's quick and easy food, sandwiches and toasties, so you're always grabbing fresh meat out of the fridge. So food is a funny one, isn't it? Because like you said, if we're on site, the way we cook is completely different from when we're wild camping.
Yes, when we're wild camping, it's all gas based. So it's the oven, it's the two. We've got a 3-ring hob on gas, so it tends to be things that we can do quickly in a pan, or we use Mr. D. Obviously, Mr. D's a lifesaver. If you've not seen one, have a look up here, because we'll tag the video in. Mr. D is just brilliant. But when we're on site and we've got electric, we've got the toaster, we've got the 2-ring hob, we've got the air fryer, so we tend to have a lot of air fried food, don't we?
Yes.
For a change.
We do. We were quite silly to begin with. I think if we were starting again, that would be the first thing I did, is we bought everything electric.
Yeah.
We just went and bought cheap toaster from wherever. We did have a really good cheap kettle, but Andrew melted it, so now I've got a different kettle. But we went and just bought everything electric, so that when we are on site and we've got electric, we're not using gas.
We're not using the gas.
Because then it kind of makes it beneficial of being on a site and paying that little bit extra for electric, but you're not using your gas, so you kind of...
Yeah. If you're being on the sites and paying for electric, you want to use the electric. You don't want to use your gas and your diesel.
Nope, you're totally 100% right. So that actually leads on to the thing. So diesel. So we have 2 different types of diesel. First, we'll talk about our actual travel. Then we'll talk about the heating situation. So travelling.
Yeah.
Travelling is a bit of another weird one. Yes, you have to budget how much diesel you're going to use, but it also depends on how much travelling you are going to do in a period of time. We can go from being in the same area for a month, can't we? So we don't barely use any fuel, and then we do stupid things like do end-to-ender, and we drive from Land's End to John O'Groats. So then we used a lot of fuel.
Yeah.
So budgeting that one is a little bit difficult. We usually keep around about the 200 quid a month ish mark, don't we?
Yeah, because what we try and do is chop and change, don't we? If we're travelling a lot, we tend to wild camp a lot, so we're not paying for sites.
Yes.
But if we're on a site, then obviously you're not travelling, so you're saving on the diesel. So it swings and roundabouts.
It is.
But it is purely down to how much you want to travel, how much you want to see. We've tended this last year to stay longer in places.
We have.
Rather than travel every single day. We've spent 2 or 3 days in the same place, which has cut our fuel down considerably.
It has. Not just that, you've also got to remember as well, your size of your vehicle, the size of the engine, that all kind of factors into how much diesel you're going to use. We've got a big van, she uses a lot of fuel, we're heavy, so we know roughly how much it costs us per mile, so we can work it out that way. We can sit there and say, right, well, we're going to travel an hour today, that's how much fuel it's going to be. And
just work out what your cost is per mile. That's what we did, and then we can calculate what the best options are. So we work on between 30 and 40p, depending on the price of fuel, of course. At the moment, we're probably running on just over 30p a mile.
Yeah.
So you've got to work out sometimes, is it worthwhile going to the supermarket, if the supermarket's a while off, or paying the couple of quid to get it delivered to your van? It's little things like that, isn't it? Basically, how long is a piece of string? It's really up to you how much travelling you want to do.
Going back to the diesel side of things, so then we have a diesel heater. So that is the other thing that we tend to... It's another one. I think a lot of this budgeting is dependent on where we are, the type of year it is. So we use the diesel heater a lot in winter.
Yes.
Comes to summer, we don't use it at all.
Well, no, because we put diesel in, was it April or May last year? And then we didn't switch it on again until September, well, back end of September, early October. So we didn't use any diesel in the heater at all, as you would imagine, over summer.
Yeah.
Last year was particularly dismal with the weather, so I mean it wasn't a typical year because it was colder. But now, when we've got temperatures of freezing,
yep,
we can go through 2 5-litre cans a week, can't we?
That, I think it depends again on your vehicle, because we've got such a big vehicle to heat. We added a curtain and things to the middle, and curtains around the doors, and just to try and keep the heat in. But because she is such a big vehicle, and because she's older, there's holes here and there and everywhere, isn't there? And we've got breezes coming through. So for us, yes, we go through about 2, and that is us being red hot. That isn't just comfortable, that is us being toasty. We've got the 2 little dogs, so they need heat as well. Yeah,
we like to keep them warm, don't we?
But it costs us around about £10 a week, doesn't it?
Yeah, I would say around that in winter, because it kicks off some heat. So you don't need it on long, which means it's not using that much fuel. And it's very, very efficient.
It is very efficient.
Yeah, very efficient. So, but I would budget for 6 months of the year at maybe £10 a week.
Yeah, it's a funny thing again, isn't it? Because it's the same as it depends how many sites you're going to be on. So we also have electric fan heaters. So when we go onto a site with electric, our diesel heater doesn't get used at all, because we use that.
Yep.
So it is another thing of pricing it up against a site. You're paying the £10 a week on that, or you pay towards being on a site. It is just all factoring all that in, isn't it? And I can't imagine somebody who's in a Sprinter uses anywhere near the amount of fuel we use, because of the size comparison. And
no, and if it's a self-build and it's nicely insulated, you probably don't use much at all.
No, I can't imagine they do. But yes, so that is roughly what we use. So that actually moves us perfect on to site fees. Another one that kind of depends on how much you want to wild camp, how good your solar panels are, and where you are in the world.
Yeah, one thing that we've learnt this winter, because it's the first time we've done winter in the van, is you cannot rely on solar power. So you're going to need to get on site, I would say, at least a day a week, at least, to top your batteries up. Because there is no... We've gone a whole 2 weeks with very, very little solar. It wasn't even worth mentioning. So you're going to have...
getting 4 watts.
Yeah, you're going to have to site up and get some electric sooner or later.
Yep. So we actually have 2 solar panels, 300 watts, in total. We have 2 lithium batteries. So we, in summer, if we've got a good day's sun, that can be us. We can last a good week. Well, to be fair, if it's sunny every day, we can last months.
Oh yeah, by the time we get out of bed,
They're usually full.
they're normally full, ready to go. We can put the air fryer on for breakfast, and it doesn't even dent it in summertime. Wintertime, completely different story.
The other thing that you have to think about that we didn't really think about, and it's the first time and it was a learning curve, most sites close in winter. These are brilliant, cheap sites that we all stay at during the summer because they're cheap and they're cheerful. Yeah, they close in November.
You end up paying over the odds. We've paid £25 on Haven type sites.
30 at Edinburgh.
Yeah, so and these sites know that, you know, there aren't many open over winter, so they can pretty much, I wouldn't say charge what they like, but they're not cheap.
So last year we managed to spend 7 weeks on a site, didn't we? That was purely out of laziness of us and comfort, because we wanted to be comfortable. We had family holidays and things booked. We had events in that area. So for us, it was a comfort thing, but it was a cheap site.
That was the thing. It was too cheap to not do.
Yeah.
When the opportunity arrives and it's cheaper than travelling around and you're on electric, why would you move around and spend lots of money if you're comfortable where you are? Yes, not everybody's going to want to spend 6 weeks in Skegness, but it suited us.
It suited us right to the ground. We had friends come, we had family come, there was events on in the area that we wanted to attend anyway, so that was already a bonus for us.
Yeah.
And then it was so cheap. Like, it was to the point where even if we were to travel to a supermarket and drive back, that would have cost us more than it did for the site. It would cost us more in fuel and it was just...
And as I said, you've got to take these opportunities when they arise, because come November the 1st, these sites are closed, so you can't get on them for £6 a night. So you've got to take those opportunities. And if it's September, all the way and good. Some people don't want to do that. We did. We only booked on for a week with my mum and dad, and then we booked a week early because it was cheap, and then we booked another month because you got another discount on it for booking a month. So it just kind of rolled on. So you be mindful that you can get really, really cheap sites with electric during the season, but out of season, it's going to cost you more, and you're going to want to visit them more.
Yeah.
I would budget £50 a week for 2 nights on a site.
I think during summer it's not too bad. During summer you can wild camp and we know we're okay. The main thing for us is water and toilets. Like, trying to empty our waste and filling up our water is our 2 main things while we're wild camping that we don't struggle with, but we have to factor in. We have to make sure we're on a site or we paid a site to empty our bathroom and fill up with water. Water isn't too bad. We can kind of fill up at garages and things like that. But actually emptying your bathroom, you haven't got a choice. You've got to go to a site. Yep. There isn't many places now that I can think of off the top of my head that I know have toilet emptying facilities.
There aren't many, but there are. It depends where you are in the country again. And where if you're still in the UK, we know that there are airs in Scotland. Some are free. We've been to the one outside of Loch Ness. That was a donation. Some sites would just charge you a £5 to fill it with water, empty your toilet, and empty your grey waste. So I'd factor in probably £5 a week all through the year to be emptying toilets, filling up with water and your grey waste, just to be safe.
It is something people don't tend to think about, of emptying that sort of stuff. And then you've also got to remember there is certain laws in certain places. Scotland, you can't empty your grey waste anywhere. Like, you have to use an actual disposable place, don't you?
No, you can't empty your grey waste into a standard drain.
Yeah. So we've done it where if the dog's like water bowl and stuff needs washing out, I'll just throw it in the drain or I'll throw it in the grass, wherever else. Scotland, you are not allowed at all. So that's something you have to be really, really cautious of.
Yeah, be very mindful of that.
Yes. But toilet, when it comes to toilet-wise, please always go somewhere. Always have it planned in your brain. Right, I'm going to go wild camping for a week. Get your toilet emptied properly. Don't go and throw it into grass. Don't go and throw it down drains. Please just pay the £5. There is sites all over the country. You can use certain places to do it. That is one of my bugbearers. I don't like to see that.
No, and we're just going on with water.
Yes.
We spend not lots of money, but we spend a decent amount of money on drinking water.
Yes, we do, yeah.
And that's for two reasons. One, I don't trust the tank that we've got because it's so old. I don't know what's in there, no matter how much you clean it out. So we have bottled drinking water. Now, if we're on a site, as we are at the moment, where there's a tap that says drinking water on it, we've got some 5-litre waters that we bought at supermarkets, and we just top those up, and that's fine for drinking. But we boil a lot of ours for teas and coffees anyway. We'll take that out of the tank and boil it. But for fresh drinking water... We
buy flavoured water, don't we? So it depends. Once again, we do a lot of shopping around, so we tend to know which supermarkets have deals on with certain things.
Yeah.
So we like the Volvic flavoured waters. They're a litre. We can get them for £1. So yeah, that's part of our shopping costs, isn't it? So another thing that we have to factor in is phones. Phones is a big... Yeah. I'm not a snob, but I like my phone. So I upgraded my phone last year, so my phone bill is stupidly high. So we do spend a lot on my phone, but you have more of a reasonably priced phone, don't you?
Yeah, it's not the phone. I mean, everybody can... It depends what model phone you want and what you want. I mean, that's... Again, it's a piece of string, isn't it? But it's the data that's the thing that's important. We don't want Starlink because it's far too expensive for what it is. We manage with 3 phones or 3 SIMs. It's very rare that we struggle to get data, so we stick with the 3 SIMs.
We do.
Now, you're on unlimited with...
O2.
And it costs you £26 a month, which is quite expensive. However, I'm not in contract because I've got Stuart's old phone, and I'm on EE, and I was a bit savvy because we bought a SIM off Amazon, which was a 15-month SIM, and it works out around £12 to £13 a month for unlimited data, and because it's a business SIM, it tends to be quite fast. So, and that's still working, and it's 15, 16, 17 months on, and it's still working. So, I don't know when that's going to end. But that's something to look at. That's if you can afford to do it up front and spend £200, you'll get you get unlimited data with the EE for a very cheap price. We also have a Smarty SIM.
We do.
Which is £20 a month. That's based on 3.
The only thing with that Smarty is you don't have it on all the time, though, do you?
The good thing with Smarty, you can pause it when you don't need it. So if we're in an area that O2's working or EE's working, then we don't top up the Smarty. If we're struggling and we can get a signal with Smarty, then I spend the money and just pay for it for a month. So it's great in that respect.
It is a backup option, but it's a good backup option to have because Andrew can't miss his football.
Absolutely not. It's absolutely critical.
So yes, so talking about football, once again, we'll move on to TV because we do have... We're going to call them TV, but one of them isn't really for the TV package. It's more for the fact that it's got free deliveries, isn't it? So we have Netflix and we have Amazon Prime. So they're the two that we pay for every month, and that's because I'm a TV geek. I love my TV. I like to sit and watch. We have pads and phones and stuff, and that's what we mainly use them for, isn't it?
But we also have an Amazon Fire Stick, which you can get BBC iPlayer, ITV on, and all the regular channels. So we use our unlimited data to use on the Fire Stick. So we've got TV, we've got a little projector that works, or we've got our pads or laptop. So that costs us about £15 a month. We pay for Prime because it's literally for deliveries, isn't it? We pay Amazon Prime. I don't think we watch a lot on Prime TV, although the football was on last week. But it's great for deliveries, isn't it? Because you can we had yesterday, we're on a site, and there's only us here, because it's a little area in Scotland, and they found us. You can't get that with anybody else. Nope. So we had deliveries yesterday off Amazon. So it's worth that. Is it $7.99, $8.99 with unlimited next day deliveries? Yeah, which is great when you're living off grid, or you're in the wilderness or somewhere. We didn't know that you could just get them to where we were. I mean, we do it with Asda, as you've seen, and Tesco. They'll come and find you. But with Amazon, it's the first time we've actually delivered to a motorhome Air. Definitely worth the money. It is, because you can also get them delivered to pickup boxes. Yeah. There is a lot of ways of getting deliveries from Amazon. You can get them delivered to shops. There's pickup points. Yeah. There is so many different things. Lockers. Yeah. So we pay out for the security side of stuff. So we pay out a subscription for our tracker. That's money you've got to pull out. The tracker's important, isn't it, to us? It's peace of mind.
So yes, so we also pay for storage. Storage is a separate factor again. This is just for us. We pay for storage because I have too many things and Andrew's a geek. So Andrew collects too many stuff as well. So yes, so we pay monthly for storage, which costs us, I think it's £70 a month, which is one of our biggest spends, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it is. The cost of storage is probably more than the goods that we've got, but the sentimental value, there are things that we wouldn't part with, but we don't have space in the van.
No, and it's quite good as well because we're using it as a seasonal thing as well. So, like now, it's just we'll go and put all of our winter stuff away, get all of our summer stuff out, and then when it comes to winter, it'll start to get cold again. We go back, put all of our summer stuff away, and get all of our winter stuff out ready for the colder seasons.
Yeah.
So it is good for us because we can do that. So it saves us money on having to rebuy stuff over the year, find enough storage to be able to store all of our winter clothes and our summer clothes at the same time, plus weightage on the van.
That's the thing, isn't it? You want to keep the weight in the van down because it costs you more in petrol and diesel the more you carry. And of course, you don't want to go over the maximum weight for your vehicle because you're going to put strain and stress on the chassis and the whole build. So you want to keep your weight down. But yeah, storage it's important if you're going to sell your house, particularly if you've got if you're living in your van permanently with no backup. You think about storage, unless you've got a really, really good friend who's got a loft or a spare room. There's also laundry to consider as well.
That right now is a sticking point for me because we pay a fortune. Like, I'm not going to lie, it isn't the cheapest thing to do. It gets to the point where I'll actually sit there and I'll go, it might be actually cheaper for me to buy a new bedding set than wash the bedding set I've got. If it's a smaller laundrette and you can only get a bedding set in, then it costs me about 15 quid to do the bedding set.
Yeah.
So I know I can buy a new bedding set for that. So it kind of gets a little bit naggly. And then the other sticking point is we paid a fortune, didn't we, just before Christmas not so long ago to do all of our laundry. We did about 4 loads. It cost me about 40 quid to do it all. Then we got to the site and it was £1. My heart. Oh.
But that's rare.
That is very, very, very
that's rare. Because you don't want to be washing your clothes in the van in your sink. We have.
I was going to say, you're saying that, but we do when it comes to socks and pants.
Socks and pants we do.
In summer, we look like we're a travelling circus because we have all of our washing off, hanging off everything. We have a bike rack at the back of the van. That it isn't a bike rack; it's a laundry dryer. Because we will wash stuff, or we will pay and do a wash, and then not pay to do the dry. We'll put it all out to hang. Because it's cheaper than putting everything in the tumble dryer.
Depends what the weather is, isn't it?
Yes.
And of course, what you don't want to be doing is drying your clothes inside your van because it's going to start introducing moisture inside the van, which you try to avoid.
Yes, you do.
So, yeah.
But yes, laundrette is a big thing, and we do have quite a big budget for our laundry, don't we?
So, what do you think, Stuart, a month?
I've got about 40 quid a month.
£40 a month, £10 a week.
So it's about
a load a week.
About a wash a week,
Yeah.
So that's pretty much how we budget every month. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this as fast as I can so that everybody who didn't want to listen to this whole entire yibby yabber of me and you and just wanted a quick rundown of costs can have a quick rundown. Gas, about £75 a month, isn't it? Yeah. Diesel, we've said about £200 a month. Insurance, obviously varies, but we pay about £55 a month. Food is another thing that does vary. We eat a lot of food and we like it. I like my crisps and chocolate. I'm not even going to deny it. So we pay about £400 a month. Site fees is another thing. That depends on how many sites you want to stay on. We budget around about £50 a week, so that works out about £200 a month. Our tax, we do pay ours yearly, which is £345. You can pay it monthly, which we've said is £29. Phones we pay that are on contract, so we pay around about £70 a month for our 3 phones. We pay extra for breakdown cover from the AA, which is an extra £10. We know it's going to go up next month. We also have our TVs, so that is our Netflix and Prime, works out with around about £15 a month. We also have our storage. Storage is obviously an optional extra. We pay it because we are geeks and we collect too many things and we have too many sentimental things. So that is £70 a month. Heating. Heating is also varied depending on through the time of the year, whether or not you're a hot or a cold person, whether or not your van is old or new. I've said £20 a month, but that will obviously go up to £40 in winter and zero in summer. And then we have things like the miscellaneous, aka tyres, maintenance, whether or not you start off with, I don't know, £500 as a backup plan, or you just start adding monthly to it and build it up over the year, ready for the MOT as a bit of a contingency like we do. We try to put away about £50 a month, just so that if we need a new tyre, then we've got some money to dip into.
So it's not a freeloading thing at all, as some people might think, that we just live for free. It's not.
I do need to add something to this as well. That is just our ordinary monthly bill. That doesn't include excursions, paying for stuff when we're out and about, going for teas and coffees, me doing far too much shopping. There is other things I haven't included in there, such as me e-cigs, actual luxuries of everyday van life, and included in that is just your basics of things you kind of have to pay. We can do it where you can live in a van and you don't have to go out every day, fine. You can go for your walks and yes, they're free, but there is other things on top of that. There is clothes shopping, because we do go through shoes quite often, new clothes. There is stuff on there that you don't add into that are also factors, but that's personal factors to each and every van. I think there is cost effective. You can do it a lot cheaper than how we do it. If you're going to just wild camp and you're not bothered about doing certain things that we do, you're not bothered about being on site, yeah, you can save a chunk of money. You can save a lot more money than what we would save. But for us, it's about living now, isn't it? We don't want to, we're not worried about what happens in 10 years' time. That's 10 years away. It's about here and now, and we want to explore, we want to enjoy the experience of living in a motorhome and having adventures. So yeah, let us know below. Let us know what you think we could save some money on.
Crisps for you.
No, I like my crisps.
Yeah.
But yeah, let us know. We're quite interested to know what other people's budgets are and what you think you spend compared to what we spend, and whether or not we could save some money somewhere.
Or we've helped you.
Yeah, let us know. And yeah, good luck.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell and accept all the notifications.
And give us a good old thumbs up. And please don't be afraid to leave us some comments below. We like to hear from you. Yes, so we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.